to save my honor, and nonetheless allow me a total jump. 2 words about melancholy. You know, you remember the distinction I drew this morning, I think, between the object of desire, what you desire, and the cause of desire, what makes you. And this cause can be often unconscious and so on. Of course, you know what you desire, but what you are not aware is the mechanism, what made you desire. Okay, here I follow Agamben, who in his stanzas, the book, proposed a wonderful reading of Freud, Trauer und Melancholie, Mourning and Melancholy, which turns around the usual reading. The usual reading is, I say this with all friendship, the reading to which, unfortunately, Judith Butler also succumbs. How should I put it? There was a fashion at that time, when she wrote that book, Psychic Life of Power, some 15, 20 years ago, even now, of, I put it like this. In traditional psychoanalysis, melancholy is considered a failure, and mourning, the work of mourning, the good normal thing to do. Like you have a traumatic loss. If you are normal, then through rituals, work of mourning, you symbolize the trauma of loss, you accept it, and in this way you normalize it, you can go on. No? But the melancholic, that's the idea, is someone who remains faithful to the lost object, who is not ready to accept the loss. And you can imagine how Judith interprets this. What twist does she give to it? Of course, her idea is that, I simplify it, but basically it is like this. Our primary identification is with the same-sex partner, parent. You know, you are primordially attached, if you are a girl, to mother, boy to father, whatever, and then when you learn that you will have to renounce your same-sex parent as your sexual parent, what you do is you accept the loss and you identify, it's very ingenious reading of Freud, and you know, for Freud, our identities are made of identifying with the lost object. You lose it in order to counteract the loss, you symbolically identify with the lost object. And her idea, Judith, is that sexual identity is this. You are a man, which means your primordial object was man. But man, because of prohibition of incest, blah, blah, you had to renounce it, you identify with it. This is like, you know, becoming a man means identifying with the lost man who was your object. So, of course, the catch here is to give a slightly higher ethical status to homosexuality. You know, the idea is that the homosexuals are those who persist, who don't want to betray the same-sex object. It's nice, but what I claim is that, as Agamben develops it nicely, Freud is saying something totally opposite, and it's beautiful theory. Freud's theory is that the difference between melancholy and mourning, it's not that through mourning you accept the loss, but in melancholy you are stuck to, you cannot move further, you remain stuck onto your loss. No, Freud gives a wonderful hint when he says that a melancholic is someone who mourns the lost object prematurely, before the object is even lost. You know that melancholy is some kind of, how to call it, preemptive, premature mourning. Let me give you, and I think this is literally true, it's not as mystical as you think. Let me give you an example. What is melancholy in love? Melancholy is not you drop me and I then still remain attached to you, blah, blah. Melancholy is something much more beautiful in a way. Melancholy is, we are still together, but we already knew that we will have to lose each other, so while the lost object is still here, I already mourn it. I already, you know, this, it can be very nice. I didn't have them, but I can imagine them. You know, this short love affair where you are still doing it, but it's already under the shadow of separation. No. What does this mean? Sorry? Sorry?
We're back in the realm of reverse causality.
Yeah.
Thing in the future is affecting
Yeah. So let me give you now two examples. I use them in a writing of this, and then I conclude. So that we can, you know, and in other words, now comes the precise definition. Melancholy is the loss of desire. In what sense? What? In melancholy, you don't mourn the lost object of desire. You mourn the loss of desire itself. What do I mean by this? I spoke with many, we Slovenes have many emigrants and so on, and I learned something. Remember, let's say, no, you cannot remember, but let's say, because of economic war conditions, doesn't matter, you are forced to leave your country, to move permanently abroad. Okay, you had a certain attachment to your country, so you are sad. Why are you really sad? Wait a minute, I spoke with many people, especially Slovene immigrants in the United States, who remembered that moment and told me something simple but very beautiful and tragic. They told me they were not sad because they in advance imagined how, being in another country, they will miss their homeland, their fatherland, and so on. No. What horrified them is the idea that sooner or later they will forget about their homeland, you know. They were terribly afraid of the idea, look, this beautiful country, not I will lose it, but what if after a couple of years I will not even desire it? So, to go to object A, this is the beautiful Freudian or rather Lacanian definition. In melancholy, you don't lose the object, but you lose the object cause of desire. So that the object is here, but you no longer desire it. Which is why melancholy is about the loss of desire, not of the loss of object. You know where melancholy, you don't agree, you can...
Well, it's both. I mean, it's the loss of the desire on the basis...
No, but you know...
On the basis of a loss of the object that makes cathexis impossible.
Okay, maybe, but I'll give you another example. You know how in early modernity, Dürer and so on, you have this melancholic... But what is typical melancholic? Typical melancholic is, for example, in early modernity even, a rich guy who has it all but cannot enjoy it. That's the typical melancholia. So I think this is a much finer position. And I think that, and I'm not condemning this, because let's go a little bit on tomorrow, because I claim that that's the beauty, it really is melancholy of Kirsten Dunst, of how is it called, Justine, the heroine of fuck it, how's the movie called? Melancholia. Yeah. No, the title of the film is not... Melancholia. It is Melancholia. It is another. My God, what did you discover of me today? That I'm secretly gay, then I made that flop or whatever, now Melancholia. No, what I'm saying is that she truly is, in this sense, melancholic, which is why I think her act at the end, you remember, I will show you the clip of how she builds that magic cave, you know. It's a very beautiful act because it's not an illusion. It's not if you go into that pseudo tent, then nothing will happen. No, her message to the small boy, the son, is not this. It's just if you go in, you will not care. No desire, you will accept the way she accepts. I think it's a beautiful film. And I don't think it's a reactionary film. Here I think we should cut with this stupid idea that if you are a leftist, you must be some kind of a stupid optimist, you know, like, oh, all people will be happy. No, I like to be an extremely, Brecht was this, an extremely pessimist leftist, you know. Life is shit, we will all end in hell, but till that point maybe we can make things a little bit better, you know. So, okay.